After 49 attempts at shooting my intro for this video, I decided to give up on it for a little while and give you guys the safety warning. Hopefully I can do that. So I'm going to be doing some silly experiments with my heater. Don't do the same. Follow your manufacturer's recommendations, whether that be the fuel they tell you to burn. No, I can't even do that. Having some issues with my diesel heater. Just wondering if the exhaust is supposed to be glowing red like that. Oh, that's flames. I'm glad it was out here when that happened, because that could have been very bad. Wonderful. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. This is another video in a series of videos where I've been attempting to burn waste motor oil in my diesel heater, and somewhere along the line I decided that I needed a lot more heat in the burn chamber where the oil flows in. The reason for this is we want the oil to flash off so that it burns more completely. So in the last video, I installed an aluminum baffle, we'll call it, to try to retain some of the heat. If you haven't seen that video, you're going to want to watch it before you watch this one, because that is where this one picks up. Now that those people are gone, the heater was working perfectly fine at the end of the last video. It wasn't making any smoke. It was making lots of heat and retaining a lot of heat in the burn chamber. That is where we're going to pick up, but before we do, a big thanks to everyone who's been supporting me here. I know that when I say these intros, I sound like this was scripted, but that is just so that I don't trip over my words while I'm trying to say all this stuff. So I genuinely mean it. Thank you very much to everyone who subscribes to my channel, who likes the videos, who leaves comments and all of your great suggestions in the videos, and just chats with me there. I very much appreciate it, so thank you. I know all of the regular viewers are getting sick of hearing me talk about my VEVOR affiliate link, but I have to say that for any of the new viewers because that is one of the ways that I make income. So if you are interested in one of these heaters, I have an affiliate link. It is in the description below. If you use that affiliate link, it helps me out. I get a small kickback. It also helps you out because there is a discount code, VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, all that information is in the description below. In the next video, I'm going to be testing methanol. I'm going to do a couple of different tests testing methanol, regardless of how this test turns out. I'm going to do some testing with methanol, a couple of different methods, and just try to have some fun. Try to break up the monotony of testing the waste motor oil. Try to draw some more people to the channel. I think other people would be interested in that stuff, and I'm hoping that my regular viewers are interested in that as well. Anyway, we left off with the heater working perfectly. The exhaust was clean, it was making lots of heat, and it was retaining a lot of heat in the burn chamber. So let's get back to that video. Let's get into it. You see this smile? I probably shouldn't get my hopes up because every time I do, things come crashing down, but we are running a burn chamber temperature, the outside of the burn chamber where the oil feeds in, 247 Celsius and climbing, 248. 210 on the heat exchanger body, 208. 249 over here, 480 Fahrenheit. The exhaust is really clean. There is a faint smell of some sort of exhaust fumes outside, but I am really excited about this. Even if it only runs for a couple of days and shuts off, this is hands down the best it has ever run. I just checked on the heater and the temperature in the burn chamber has dropped to 200. That has got me concerned. still over 200, so better than it has been, but I lowered the heat setting to try to lower the airflow over the chamber and get the heat back up. I'm actually going to switch it over to diesel for a little while and see maybe if that's what it needs. So I'm going to speed it back up, leave it on diesel, see what happens. So I'll set a timer for 10 minutes. Okay, what the heck is happening? Oh, we switched to diesel. It's a good thing I came in right when I did. That was about to overheat, if it doesn't anyway. I've got the fuel line pinched off here. You can hear when I let go of the fuel line, it gets hot in a hurry. We're up to 260 here. $176 on the heat exchanger and 208 on the burn chamber. So this might be where the test comes to a screeching halt. I've kind of changed my mind about what I'm going to do. I don't want to wait for this thing to completely crash and then take it apart. What I should have done is taken it apart last night while it was working really good and look inside to see what it looked like in there. That way I would know what has actually changed to make it work bad. I'm going to switch it over to diesel before I shut it down because I want to restart it on diesel. I shut the heater down and pulled the exhaust off. I'm about to take it down off the shelf, but I wanted to show you guys inside the exhaust. I don't think you'll be able to see, so you'll just have to take my word on it, but it is quite clean inside there. Very clean compared to what it normally is, so that is promising. It's dry in here. There's not a bunch of oil seeping out or anything, so that's good news. Oh wow, that is so it definitely did melt. That is what it looks like in there. So the motor end cap melted and turned into that blob of aluminum. Unfortunately, we don't know when that happened. That could have happened right away, and it could have been working fine with the melted blob there. If that was a partly molten blob of aluminum sitting on the burn chamber, that could explain why there was so much heat being conducted back into the burn chamber. But we won't know. We'll have to do a second test on it. So, molten aluminum inside of the burn chamber has me thinking, what if we had a molten metal inside of the burn chamber at all times? Of course, it would have to be a metal that was safe to be molten inside of the burn chamber. I'll have to do some more research on it, of course. But my thinking is, if we had a pool of molten metal inside there all the time, that itself was quite hot, but also had a fluid surface, could the particulates, the ash and the carbon, actually settle, or would they just get dispersed? Inside of the heat exchanger looks exceptionally clean. Well, exceptionally clean for a heater that is burning waste motor oil. And you can see around the exhaust port is also very clean. I've removed the nut. There is a little bit of carbon in behind the melted blob of aluminum, so when I pull it out, I think the carbon's going to come out with it. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say, my guess is that this blob of aluminum being in contact with the housing is what was actually making it run as hot as it was. What I'm going to do is clean out the chamber. I'm going to remove the hose clamp and clean it all out. and then I'm going to put it back together with this melted blob of aluminum, and that will tell us if it was working good because of the plate or because this was making a good thermal connection between, well, the flame and the housing itself. Very little carbon inside of here. There is some, but not too bad. The burn chamber seems to be heating up very quickly. That is indication that our blob of aluminum is doing the trick as is. We'll see though. See what happens when it actually gets up and running. And that is a big old cloud right there. I'm going to do what I can to get the heat up in the burn chamber because it's burning pretty dirty right now, even on diesel. If I can get this up to 200, then I will speed up the heat, but it's not looking very good right now. Hopefully we see temperatures like we did last time. I'm gonna have to monitor this for a little while and see what it actually does. Yeah, 193, that's not looking good. It's not working the way it was last time. We've got temperature dropping, we've got a whole bunch of smoke. I put it back together after cleaning it out, and as you guys can see, with the aluminum blob in there, it is not getting up to temperature. So I started it 2 times and it did the exact same thing. It worked the same. I'm guessing that this temperature starts to skyrocket now. When it was working with the aluminum disc, the way that it worked is this temperature would actually drop as I turned it off. You can see now it's actually going up quite quickly. As you guys can see, I have the heater back apart. This is a melted blob of aluminum that used to be the motor end cap for my old motor. Throw this on the scale, you can see that is 13 grams. I was going to replace it with 2 of these, which would have been 22 grams, but I found this chunk, which is about 3/4 thick. The hopes are that this will be able to take the heat and that it will actually transfer more energy because of the larger surface area in contact with the bolt. You can see the inner surface area is much greater than this piece. So I'm hoping that this doesn't melt, but it does transfer a lot of heat back into the bolt and therefore back into the combustion chamber. Let's get it back together. The next thing that you guys will see is me thinking that it's very hopeful, and then a few clips after that, me telling you that it's not going to work. Alright, I am very curious to see what's going to happen here. It might be choking it off too much. This is slowed down at 135, and that is struggling to make it up to 100. The little holes that are in the revolver cylinder looking thing are 3/16 of an inch. When I take this apart to inspect it, I'll probably drill them out quite a bit bigger because this did struggle to start. So I'm gonna shut this down. I'm gonna drill those holes out bigger before I ruin something. I think this is causing a pretty massive restriction on the fan just by blocking up the chamber. And so I don't want to burn out another motor. Okay folks, this is not at all what I expected. I expected to take this apart and drill out some new holes. I did not expect to find a giant blob of melted aluminum. And that is exactly what I found. That was a pretty substantial blob of aluminum right there. I don't know how long I ran it for, but it wasn't very long. This might end up being the biggest fail that I do yet, but what I have is this piece of aluminum. I now have that giant piece of aluminum in here. The flame is going to come through this hole, and not very much of it is going to come out the other end of that aluminum. This might have a really hard time. It might just not start at all, because that big chunk of aluminum is going to absorb a lot of heat. You guys know the drill. You've been here before. Well, it started immediately. That's a good sign. Now, is it going to make a big molten blob of metal? I kind of have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Should be interesting either way. Very strong smell of diesel in here. Well, it's not getting any warmer than 160. I think it's being choked down a little bit too much. Abort! Abort! Abort mission! Whoa, it's still, oh, it's carrying a lot of heat, that's for sure. Whoa. It is still intact. You can see the trail of carbon there along the bottom. So now the question is, am I going to be able to get that out? All right, so taking a closer look at it, I can see that it actually did start melting. This was the end closest to the burn chamber. I had to bang on it to get it out. I used a punch to drive it out through the opening. And when I look at the outside here, it is bulged all around here. And that is like that because, well, it started to melt and actually sagged. I had a stainless steel sleeve. Where is the stainless steel sleeve? Right here. This stainless steel sleeve came to this point right here. And so that part was hanging off the end and it started to melt and sag down. If you guys feel cheated out of a victory, believe me, I do as well. I'm right there with you. At the end of the last video, this heater was working perfect. There was no smoke. It was releasing lots of heat into the garage and it was maintaining a lot of heat in the burn chamber. I have no idea why this was happening, but believe me, I'm not giving up on it at this point. If you guys like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see what happens next, be sure to subscribe. In the next video, we're going to be doing some testing on methanol. As I said, I'm going to be trying to do some silly test videos that aren't terribly practical, but will probably teach us something. I'm going to be burning the methanol, of course, like I just said. Bacon fat, some cooking oil mixed with diesel, because some people wanted to see that specifically, and just some other quirky things like trying to gravity feed the heater without a pump. So if you don't want to miss that stuff, once again, be sure to subscribe. I think that's all I have to say. That is going to do it for this one. No, one more thing. I am going to be trying to release more regular videos or more frequent videos, partly to try to catch up, and partly to try to attract more people to the channel by doing silly things like burning methanol. So that is going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.